To everyone who saw our adventure through, or to anyone who jumped the gun, or to anyone who just found this video and thought it sounded interesting, welcome. To those of you who are newcomers, I like to do something a little different as a capstone to my Let's Plays. I want to talk a little about a topic related to the game we just finished, and the impact said topic has had on me. And maybe something therein will resonate with you. Who knows, right? So now I invite you to sit back, maybe let your eyes relax a little. Just be sure to listen. As I've mentioned before, I was pretty sheltered growing up, and that made my interests and personal tastes kind of different. I was never very into pop culture. Part of it was because I spent a lot of time out of the loop, because, sheltered. But there was some of it that just didn't appeal to me. What I did know a lot about were the video games I played near religiously when I was younger. You guys remember that from my last Fireside, right? So instead of following whatever pop music was in at the moment, well, I generally knew about it, but nothing beyond basic awareness. I got really interested in the music from the games I played. So while most kids were listening to the Backstreet Boys or Britney Spears, I'd have, say, the boss theme from Super Mario RPG stuck in my head for a week. It led to a bit of a reputation in grade school for being weird and easy to get away with making fun of, but that's a story for a different day. So as I grew up, my musical tastes expanded and evolved. I branched out a lot, was able to appreciate more genres. I spent all of middle and high school playing in school bands, and I was one of their best performers. And yet, I remained just as interested in the music of the video games that were still such an important part of who I was. It grew from being all I knew to being something I was legitimately interested in, and something I felt people were missing out on. There are several reasons why I've always found the music from video games so different and interesting. I could go on for a while. About instrumentation, about how many of the great soundtracks from older games knew how to get the most out of their system's limited capabilities. But when game music can vary so wildly between platforms, between genres of games, between composers, few of those qualities are consistent, except for one. You see, there's actually something video game music has in common with film music: its role as a thematic element. You ever notice how the greatest film scores blend into scenes so perfectly that you always associate one with the other? You ever notice how often the same thing happens when you remember some of the video games you've played? In both cases, the music is more than just an element in the background. It's a key factor in immersing the viewer or player, in painting a picture of the setting as a whole. And that's always stuck out to me. For example, let's take the classic setting of a forest area. While that theme may sound generic at first, you can do so many things within that theme, and music plays a key part in that. With just a sudden change in what you're listening to, what you initially imagined as a bright, open, inviting place can suddenly turn strange and hostile, and the music helps illustrate that. You can play with so many different ideas, even something like an old veteran returning to their childhood stomping grounds for a trip down memory lane. Music can even give you a feel for an area before you've even had the chance to explore it, to let you know that the long-lost civilization you've arrived at is an amazing place with incredible adventures to be had, once you take care of the bad guys. Didn't expect me to reference that, did you? As I try to show, and as so many of you can probably attest to, video games, and especially their music, can have a meaningful impact on someone. It's something I feel doesn't get enough credit. I've hardly ever seen moments of these video games be held up as works of art. They're so constantly overlooked. After all this time they've been around, their 40 or so years of presence in the world, there are still so many presumptions. To some people, they're all nothing but mindless, simplistic affairs meant only to kill time or alleviate boredom. And while there's some that are that way, and there's nothing wrong with that, assuming they're all that way is foolish and short-sighted. To other people, they're inherently childish and immature, something no proper adult should ever seriously enjoy. To others still, they're an easy scapegoat, something they can blame whenever another violent tragedy occurs. It's hard to have the artistic value appreciated here when you have all these assumptions thrown around and have the medium as a whole looked down upon, seen as beneath society. And yet, Anyone who's played some of these legendary games can speak for the impact it left on them. An impact not unlike the greatest films, novels, theater, or paintings. The memories stick with us. Fighting all the way through Bowser's castle to reach a final climactic showdown on the castle rooftops. Or of discovering a land hidden beneath the Great Sea and realizing just what that land is and what is at stake. Or of fighting a strange extraterrestrial thing, an insurmountable foe beyond human comprehension, and desperately guiding the children you've seen grow over the course of their journey as all you can do is keep fighting and pray for their safety. Or to finally reach the champion's chamber only to have everything you've expected from a series famous for sticking to its formula be turned on its head, and watch one of the vilest, cruelest villains in recent memory reveal himself. Or to watch one young man's quest for vengeance become so much more, as masterful storytelling pulls the rug out from under you over and over in ways not even he could foresee. Or that first time you watch Celeste step out onto that stage and begin to sing. There's something meaningful there. Something that touches us as gamers in ways only possible by handing us control and making us directly responsible for the outcome. In that way, I feel video games are capable of artistic experiences in ways unique from any other medium. And to see something I've devoted so much time and interest toward be disregarded so often, snubbed by people who never bother to try and understand it or give it a chance, it hurts. And so that's another thing I want to show with my videos. How in these games, there's meaning beyond the surface of pixels and polygons. Thanks for listening, everyone.